All right, well, let's check out LinkIt Live. To do so, you'll want to head to Randolph's ClassLink page and simply click the LinkIt icon. Alternatively, you can type randolph.linkit.com into your browser's URL field. This will bring you to a login screen. Please do not type in a username or password, as you can simply click the Sign In with Google button, or, if available, the Sign In with ClassLink button. Doing so will bring you to LinkIt's homepage. From here, you'll have access to a wealth of information about LinkIt's latest product announcements and updates, access to our historical and upcoming PD webinars and events, and you can read some stories from LinkIt users just like you. Most importantly, if you hover over the left side of the screen, the menu bar will appear. Here you'll see access to reporting, where we'll spend most of our time today, but also our Intervention Manager, MTSS software, the ability for students to take tests online or offline via plain paper bubble sheets, or to enter results from performance tasks, rubrics, or interview style assessments into our custom data lockers. Many of your colleagues have already transitioned from entering data in spreadsheets to directly into LinkIt's data lockers throughout this past school year. You'll also have the ability to create tests across all grades and subjects, should you wish, and of course the ability to manage those tests as well. User management should largely be unnecessary, as we do provide a direct sync with Genesis on a daily basis. And of course, we're going to provide comprehensive help with print and video tutorials as well for all aspects of our program, but you'll also notice that help menu is in each of the individual menu options as well. Let's go ahead and open up LinkIt's online reporting modules by clicking Dashboard under the reporting option. Doing so will open up a dashboard in a new tab. Please note your homepage tab is still accessible directly behind the latest tab that has been opened. A dashboard is just one way of accessing data in LinkIt. And many of the teachers viewing this video will see exactly what you see here on my screen, the 6 most recent assessments, that dashboard that opens up by default. Please note additionally, all the data that you're going to see in this video has been anonymized, with teacher names, student names and IDs, school names and class names completely changed to fictitious information. Rather than explore this default dashboard, I'm going to hover over the dashboard icon here and bring up my teacher demo. Please note you can create as many different dashboards as you wish, and you'll also have access to dashboards that other administrators have created for you throughout the school year. Clicking on Teacher Demo will bring up some new information. Just a little vocabulary here. While this whole screen is a dashboard, and again, dashboards can be organized with any information that you wish, each one of these colorful bars is called a pod. And in this simple dashboard, we're looking at 2 different data sets: historical NJSLA math scores for my students, as well as my students' current fall through spring NWA MAP ELA scores, with a focus on growth. To go ahead and view the data within a pod, simply go ahead and click on the colored bar to open up what we call widgets. Here, these widgets show an analysis of students' 3rd grade scores and 4th grade scores. With LinkIt, all data follows the child. So if you have that student on your Genesis roster, you'll have access to all of your current information, as well as all their historical data across all grades, subjects, and classes. We will not, however, display the teacher information that was responsible for those historical scores, as we want to be very mindful of teacher privacy, but transparent at the student level. In these widgets, you can see the name of the dataset clearly defined in the top left corner. You can see the average score for each one of those test administrations and a breakdown of the percentage of students that is scored within each of those 5 color-coded achievement levels. The table provides corresponding information that shows not only the percentage, as well as the number of students that achieved within each of those levels. One of the great things about dashboards is they provide easy drill down access to get to the student level information. You'll notice in the top right corner of each of the widgets, there's a variety of icons. Each will open up a different reporting module in LinkIt. For today's introduction to LinkIt, we're just going to focus on a few of these reports. We'll start with the student results icon. By clicking on that icon, we're once again going to open up another new tab in your browser. In this case, we're looking at the 18 students currently enrolled in my 5th grade class and reviewing their historical 4th grade NJSLA math scores. You can see the students sorted alphabetically by last name. But this too is a very interactive report. One of the things I like to do first is go ahead and click on the pie chart icon that shows the distribution of achievement within the total population. To learn more about the color coding, you can simply hover over the column header, and here you will see a legend that shows the colors as well as the corresponding achievement levels and the cut score ranges associated with each of the 5 state assessment performance levels. While hovering over the column header, you also have the ability to sort. Click once and it will sort the scores from low to high. Click a second time and it will sort those scores from high to low. You also can filter directly in student results in multiple ways. One of the simplest ways is simply going ahead and clicking on a section of that pie chart. Here you can see now we're only displaying those 4 students that scored within the approaching range of scores. Clicking a second time will unfilter those corresponding results. Alternatively, you can click on the filter icon. Here, this will allow you to select multiple achievement levels to see perhaps any of the students scoring under that meeting range. You can also go ahead and filter by any numerical score by clicking on the option in the top left. And one of my favorite things to do here is to filter for students that scored between, for example, on NJSLA, 740 to 760. And now I can see those students that perhaps just missed meeting expectations and those students that, while meeting, have a higher percentage of going down a level given to their close proximity to that cut score. Going to go ahead and clear out those filters and restore all of our students and show you one more resource here within student results. Notice in the top of my column header, we have 3 horizontal bars for our select scores icon. Here, I have the ability to display additional sub-score data for any assessments that include that level of granular information. Now you can see, for example, for those students who performed below the meeting level expectations, where individual students had areas of strength and where students have opportunities for additional growth as we think about receiving their scores from, in this case, this year's 5th grade administration. LinkIt provides a variety of opportunities to drill down to this more granular level of detail to help inform your instruction. In future trainings, we'll focus in on grouping students automatically based on sub-score performance. Notice when I hover over individual student names, you'll see an orange icon that follows your cursor. This gives you the ability to go to Student Hub. Student Hub is a longitudinal portfolio of all the information warehoused in LinkIt for each of your individual learners. simply click on the orange icon to go to that individual child's student hub, or you can select multiple students and select the icon at the top of the screen to go to Student Hub for each of those learners. Alternatively, you can also click on the sidebar to go to Student Hub. And in this case, you'll have the ability to search for a student by name with access to any student on your Genesis roster, or to scroll through the roster of your students to go to an individual child, or again, selecting multiple students or all your kids and go to their Student Hub page. Let's show you what Student Hub looks like. All right, here in Student Hub, we have our population of students on the left-hand side. And you can click any individual student to view their data portfolio, or of course, you can also use the arrows to navigate from one student to the next. I'm going to go ahead and collapse that for now. On the right-hand side, you have an option pane that contains an action menu and the ability to display the data differently, or filter and show some comparative information as well. We'll close that for now as well. While we're in Data Portfolio, notice you also have a tab for charts. We'll revisit this in the future, as this is going to allow you to create a data wall of data visualizations with charts and tables that help to really tell the story of students' achievement and growth. In the future, you'll also have access to plans and documents that were created as part of Randolph's Intervention Manager implementation to support your MTSS initiatives. And last but not least, the Class History tab will show you the historical rosters for the students that you're working with. All right, so coming back to our data portfolio, you'll notice we have different categories that could be expanded by simply clicking. And as we click attendance and display the attendance, what you'll see is an orange label. That orange label, when you hover over, will display the performance bands and the cut scores. And it's very easy to see because it's not green, and this is a student that is potentially of concern from an attendance perspective. Again, we bring attendance data in every single night from Genesis, along with behavior. Grades sync up from Genesis at the end of each marking period or semester. But some of the other data points you see here were entered by Randolph staff into our custom data lockers as they continue to transition away from spreadsheets. Those include Imagine Math, your local math assessments, reading levels, words their way, and writing benchmarks. But please know you'll never have to enter data for data that already exists elsewhere, like NJSLA and NWA MAP. Let's head back over to attendance for just a second. When I click on that color-coded data, you'll notice that the summary is then expanded. And we can see not only that this was unsatisfactory, but we can see the daily attendance rate, days present, days possible. Looking at data like NJSLA, I can see the historical information for the student who's currently in 5th grade and see those scores from 3rd and 4th grade. And again, not seeing green here is an area of concern, but I can always click to see the more specific scale scores and the full label for that achievement level. I also have the ability to come over here in the options pane and show things like my school and district comparisons. This is again to provide context in terms of how the student compares to other students right here in Randolph. And of course, you can go ahead and open any and all of these to compare achievement by subject and to look at growth. And growth is going to be something that we focus in on and continue to focus in just a little bit. I do want to head over to MAP, however, and show you the colors that you see here with MAP. And we can see here's a student that is growing from those reds and oranges of historical test administrations to the most recent test administration for ELA in yellow. And when I hover over the first data set there, the most recent score for ELA Spring, I do see the achievement levels in the legend. And those may look unfamiliar to you for those of you familiar with NWA MAP performance bands. Please note LinkIt offers districts the option to use our NJSLA predicted achievement levels. Because we have the great fortune of working with so many districts here in the Garden State, and many of those districts administer, like Randolph, the NWA MAP assessments, we create cut scores that forecast student performance on the state assessment beginning in grades 3 all the way through grades 8, with separate cut scores for fall, winter, spring, for both ELA and your math assessments. And these are very reliable, have historically been very accurate in doing just that, predicting where kids are likely to wind up when they take the state test. But if I go ahead and click on that, you'll notice that not only do you see that color-coded achievement level, but you'll also see the student's Lexile score, the RIT score, the national percentile score. And when I open up those subscores, you'll see how long they took to take the assessment in comparison to the school and district average, and their subscore data as well. And in this case, the color coding and the levels that you see here for these subscores are based on NWEA native achievement levels. I know that we certainly have some teachers in the high school looking at this video as well. So I'm going to open up the population pane here, and let's bring up another anonymized student. And in this case, it's going to be a current 12th grader. Going back to some of the Genesis data, as mentioned, we're going to bring in your attendance information. We're going to bring in behavioral information, as well as report card grades. We're also going to give you access to your state assessments, NJSLA, as well as NJGPA data. And additionally, you'll have access to your students' college career readiness assessments. Here, for example, with PSAT, you can see we break down the EBRW scores, looking at whether or not the student made the national expectations for college career readiness. We look at the math scores as well, and we'll provide a composite score based on a combination of the EBRW and math sections. Same would hold true for SAT. We also include the AP potential data as well as the actual AP scores for each test that a student has participated in. Let's head back to our dashboard. As I did say, we're going to spend some more time focusing in on growth. So in this case, again, I can just close out my tab and our dashboard is going to be here waiting for us. All right, I'm going to collapse our NJSLA results that we were working with earlier. And this time, let's go ahead and open up our second pod by clicking on the colored bar. Here we can see our 3 widgets showing our fall, winter, and spring results with an average RIT score of 210, 212 to 216, and the breakdown of achievement across each of the 3 assessments. One of the things I want to show you is how interactive these widgets can be to either to be able to group the students differently or show additional data sets. And while I can certainly make changes to one of these widgets, one of the handy features is the ability to quickly clone the widget. So clicking on the orange icon here and deciding which pod you want to clone this to, we'll stick with our current pod here. It's going to drop a new widget with the same information right down below. And in this case, if I head over to our settings wheel, perhaps I want to look at this information based on gender, where I can see a breakdown of the boys' achievement versus the girls. I'm going to go ahead and switch that back to the overall scores. And this time around, rather than analyzing overall achievement, let's pick our score type and look at informational text, literary text, and vocabulary, and remove the RIT score. And now I can see again, and we can perhaps resize this to show how students are achieving on the individual sections of the assessment. I'm going to go ahead and close this for a moment. As you may recall earlier in the video, I showed you how you can click on student results to drill down to the student level information for the data displayed in the widget. In this case, we'd see the sub-scores displayed for the 19 students that participated in this round of the MAP assessment. However, if I wanted to view the data for the fall, winter, and spring results for all the students that took the test, rather than click the icon in the widget, I would simply go ahead and click the icon that appears when I hover over the pod itself. However, for the purpose of this video, I'm not going to do so, as I'd like to show you yet another way that you can easily access data in LinkIt. Just to recap, dashboards are highly customizable and they provide great data visualizations and easy access to drill down. Any user can create unlimited dashboards and organize them with pods and widgets to tell the story that you want to tell for your students. You'll also have access to shared dashboards that administrators create for you by heading over to Dashboards and Manage Dashboards and finding those under the Shared with Me tab. Let's show you, though, how to go ahead and access data outside of a dashboard. When you first come into reporting, you'll notice this green Select Data button. Clicking on Select Data will launch the Select Data interface. Here you'll find a nicely organized table of all of the data that you have access to for the students on your Genesis roster or any custom rosters that may be created for you in LinkIt. On the left-hand side, you'll see both a data filter and a roster filter. For the interest of this video, we'll go ahead and collapse that and leave this unfiltered. At the top of the Select Data table, you have a search bar that you can search for data points by name, full or partial. In the table, we include the name of the data point, an organized category, the subject, grade level, number of results, and the earliest and latest dates for those respective data sets. It's very easy to find the data that you're looking for if you use the filters. So for in this case, we're going to look exclusively for language arts data. And we'll focus on our current 5th grade results. And we're also going to filter one more time for our NWEA map data. And here you can see we have the fall, winter, and spring results. All of those filters that we designated are displayed and confirmed down below the Select Data table. Notice when I hover over any one of those data points, I see icons are displayed to launch reports for that specific data point in that row. This is very useful if you want to analyze a single data point. However, in this case, we want to look at both the fall and spring results. You'll notice that my selected records are confirmed down below, as well with the checkboxes. But now that we've selected both of these, rather than clicking in the row, I'm going to click the icons at the top of the table. Here, we'll go to our student results for both of these rounds of MAP. Here we can see a nicely organized table of the fall and spring results sorted alphabetically by last name. I love seeing the data side by side as it easily allows me to see which students are moving up and down predicted achievement levels. One of the easiest ways to do this is to sort by achievement from high to low by the most recent result. I'll click once to sort from low to high and a second time to now sort the students from high to low. I can see some mobility here with Rosa G going from an exceeding predicted level in the fall down to a meeting level in the spring. Fortunately, we see Holcomb W going from approaching up to meeting. While you can go row by row, it perhaps is easier to go ahead and filter. Filtering again is easy through the pie chart by clicking on this case for students who are at the approaching level in the fall to see which students went up a level, and we can see Holcomb W right there. I'm going to go ahead and unclick one more time, and we'll look for students perhaps who are moving down levels, students who were meeting in the fall, and those students who dropped one or more levels down to approaching. Again, very, very easy to filter. Later in some of our demos, we'll also introduce some calculations that can show students moving up and down achievement levels and changes in any displayed scores. But for now, I want to go ahead and add some additional data points to further explore multiple measures for the group of students we have here in our class. I'm going to go ahead and click the Select Data button once again, this time under the Options pane. And we'll quickly go ahead and filter just for language arts data. And perhaps we want to bring in the reading level data from March. We'll check that one off. But let's also go ahead and think back a year for this group of students when they were in 4th grade, and we'll want to bring in their NJSLA results. I'm going to go ahead and check on that one as well and click the checkbox at the top of the screen to add both of those data points. And now I can see a nice organized table once again that really shows diverse multiple measures for this group of learners. LinkIt strongly recommends to use multiple measures to inform instructional and leadership decisions to ensure you have comprehensive information to ensure students receive the best support possible. As we wrap up this initial demo, we invite you to log into LinkIt and explore your students' data. Heading back to our slides in our agenda, in the 4th section, Independent Exploration, my colleague Lynn has created custom videos for Randolph staff to help you navigate all the modules we explored today. In addition to the custom videos, you'll also have access to our print tutorials. Simply click on either of the icons below to launch the resource. But as you walk through Student Hub, student results, and dashboards, please know this is just the beginning, as we are committed to ensuring that all members of the Randolph team feel well supported as you continue to explore LinkIt and use data to help drive your instruction. Thanks so much, and best wishes for a great summer. Thank you.